Hello, buenas, ¿cómo le va? ¿Qué hubo? ¿Qué hay? Parceros. It is the Chancleta Generation Podcast back again. This is like the arm worm.
The arm worm. Jesus.
My friends in Miami are gonna kill me.
This is so bad. People are gonna disown you for your dancing moves.
I know how to do it, but I don't know what it's called.
I'm so bad.
I'm sorry, friends from Miami. Don't kill me. All right. Well, the silly arm movement of today was brought to you by Clemencia, a Latina business owner and founder of Moira Studio, which is an advertising agency that speaks to Latinos in the U.S. because everyone deserves good advertising.
And I'm Cecilia, environmental and social justice practitioner, immigrant from Latin America, from Guatemala, community weaver. Admirer of Clem's dance moves.
The one that has to put up with my silly walks.
How are you doing, love?
I am good. I am so excited about today's topic because we talk about this all the time on our private conversations, and then I was like, why don't we just talk about it in the podcast? Let's do it. Let's do it. So
what are we talking about today?
So, full honesty here, I just turned 45 the other day, and Libra power, yay! Where my Libras at? So it made me think a lot about, what it means, to be halfway through the 40s and, just 5 years away from 50. And, I have some friends that are older than me. And then we've talked about, looking in the mirror, feeling like how we feel now, how we should be feeling, or what shouldn't we do, or there's so many conversations around getting older. And there's some people talk about getting older when it's much older, right? When you're in your 70s or something like that. But there is also the decades, and I know some people turning 30 that are like, oh my god, and some people turning 40 that are also like, oh my god. And I'm sure people turning 50 are like, oh my god. There's a bigger and more terrible oh my god every time a decade goes by. And so and Ceci,
I'm on the same range with you.
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
older.
So I just thought it would be nice to talk about it for all the the people out there and the women out there that are feeling the pressure of getting younger, like you said, that we should say.
Yeah, growing young.
Growing young.
I think for me the issue, I'm thinking that it's a thing about verbs. Today we were having a conversation with a colleague which is 2 decades younger than me. So a brilliant young professional that is my counterpart in some projects, and I'm so glad. I've always kind of worked with a lot of young people. I've worked in higher education and I've worked in other places, and I've always feel like that has kept me kind of in the loop of what's going on with that generation. And this is a time in which I'm in a space that is a lot more environmental oriented and focused, but I still have very young professionals that are doing work, and I'm so always impressed by them. So I always feel like, for me, it's just I think a lot of people, because I'm in that environment, think that I am young, that I'm more maybe they tend to estimate that if you're doing similar work that you might be together. And we definitely have different experiences and different ranges of experience, but it's amazing. I don't think I have a lot of coworkers that are in their 30s. It's so funny because I actually have coworkers that are in my age or older, And then I have a bunch of other coworkers that are like, there's not a lot in the 30s. Then there are a bunch of coworkers that are in their late 20s. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like, so we were talking about what is the difference between growing up and growing old. And in Spanish, I feel like the word for the two of them will be the same, crecer. Or maybe it would be like crecer and envejecer. But like, to age. And I think that, I always found it weird that in English you say how many years you are old when you tell your age instead of saying I have these many years, which is how you say it in Spanish. So I think it's a way for me about how I conceptualize what you're doing, right? And I think that is what I find a little bit about, like, I'm so happy I'm not in my 30s, for example. I am so thrilled that decade ended. Like, so thrilled.
I love being the age that I am.
Yeah, I love being in my 40s.
I don't ever want to go back to my teenage years or my 20s or my 30s. Just knowing what I know now, I'm just like, I was in, mental health was way worse, or, pressure, society's pressure. There's so many things, like, you're also still figuring out what you want to do with your life, or like who you want as a partner. Like, there's so many, unknowns and things to discover that were kind of scary at the time. But you mentioned something really interesting, which was, you said people are always thinking that I'm younger, and it's like, I get this a lot too. Oh, what? You're 45? You look so much younger. What is the definition of like what a 45-year-old looks like? And this is something that's really important to think about, because we talked about this. It's like, I remember when my mom was 45.
Yeah,
she looked like a lady, like, like she was
más
like
aseñorada, ¿no?
Aseñorada,
maybe is that how she, like? But I don't know if she looked it, or if they acted it, or if they dressed it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's like,
certainly dressed that way.
Yeah. When I look at, I have a photo that I really love about my mom in her 40s or her late 30s. Maybe she had just very early 40s, and I think she looks so pretty. But it was also more, I think, a lot more of the style, that she was wearing more formal clothes, and also other things which made it look older, more like her skin or her complexion,
or the haircut.
Or haircut, But I even think her haircut made it look older.
Right, yeah.
And I also think for women sometimes it's, I think a lot of people will feel like gray when they are like, oh, you don't look that old. But I also sometimes I think for women in certain roles or in certain positions, to play them young might be a way of like disempower them. Sometimes I feel like being like, oh, are you sure you know what you're talking about? Because you look young. So I think that for me, and I think this conversation has definitely different avenues, right? Like, we talked a lot about like what does it mean to take care of your body and your mental health and your physical appearance, and as you grow as a person and you age, and also what does it mean to feel a certain age. Sometimes like I know very young people who are kind of old souls. They're kind of like avejentados, no? Or más cuadraditos. But I also think bringing older women that are more mature, that are in certain positions of power, and making them younger takes away from their authority.
But that's the thing. It's kind of strange, because like to me, throughout my life, because people thought that I was younger, I wouldn't be taken seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, people, especially men, have told me to dress more like older, like an older woman, just so I could be taken more seriously, like wear heels and like wear a dress,
the suit,
like a pantsuit,
like
and
dark colors.
Yeah, and so I did for a while, but it wasn't me.
I cannot imagine you in a dark suit with heels. Like,
it's not comfortable. But also, so it's kind of funny. It's like, and obviously, we are with men, and so we're talking about our experience as women. This is not a women-focused episode, but we are talking about our experiences as women. And it's kind of funny. It's like, you need to look older, you need to look younger, but it's like, what is the definition of like what a 30-something-year-old looks like, or what a 45-year-old looks like, what a 50-year-old looks like? And and I think we've talked about this before, this need of people to put you in like labels or boxes. It's like the 30-something-year-old, the 40-something-year-old, and then needing to like identify what that is. But it's like, you could be I've seen women with like full on gray hair, dressing super fashionable, very cool, just very modern clothes, and they look amazing. And it's like, is that what a 60-something-year-old woman needs to wear? Like, you know what I mean? So and so it's like these labels of, oh, you look so much younger. Well, yeah, because maybe I'm just wearing sneakers and wearing some sort of a modern outfit. But, were you expecting a 45-year-old woman to wear like a pantsuit and, square heels and what?
I do think, I mean, for me, I think, what I kept thinking about is like this, your questions are clearly rooted in like, not rooted, but like fine, they're valid, super valid questions, because if we look at them from like a system of oppression like ageism, right, in which we can either discriminate against people who are older, and then people try to look younger. For a long time, professional women, and I know in Latin America, a lot of people felt like once you got past 45 in your profession, you couldn't get fired because no one else will hire you again, which is ridiculous, because this is when a professional probably is at their most productive and most experienced and ability to continue to learn. So for me, it's like ridiculous. But also, if you think about like, well, this person is too young to be doing that work, and then you also like exclude them, right? So like, for me to think about,
so it's a lose-lose situation.
Yes. So you could be, especially, and then when you kind of like overlap other systems, like if it's a women who then have to look very young, and those things that they told the woman, be youthful, but not too youthful, not too la la la, and it's like it, and then like, can I just be who I am and dressed in the style that I like, and the clothes that make me feel comfortable and I consider fit me best? Like, and that doesn't, what I wear as a makeup or no makeup. I have friends of mine who always tell me like, I can't believe you leave the house with la cara lavada, and I'm like, I just don't have the patience.
You leave the house
without
la cara
lavada, yeah. Like, just like, I was like, I don't put makeup every day. Like,
girl,
I can't.
I leave my house like that all the time.
Yes, but like, I have friends, especially Latina women, who would be like, antes muerta que sencilla, right? Like,
yes.
I don't leave. Like,
yes.
You cannot. I'm going to the supermarket. Don't care.
Yes. Yeah,
and I'm like,
and you know what? Latina women when I was younger, Latina women that would be the age that I am now would be like, oh, but you don't understand what age. Your face gets more pale, or your lips get smaller, or your lashes get blah, blah, blah. And it's like, does it really? Or I'm sure it does, but like, I don't know if it's that noticeable or for.
But I also think that in that pursuit, or in like this idea of like the beauty industry, our own desires, I think, like, I had a friend once that I loved much, and it's like, it doesn't matter how much you go to the gym, there might be a little part that is left for lipo, and it's like, maybe one day you will decide that you do it. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. Maybe it is for you, maybe it is not for you, or maybe you want to do other things. Like, I take care of my skin. Like, I remember one of my mom's best advice is that once you get to 25, invest in a good eye cream. And I've always had like a very
just
good eye cream.
Skin
skincare.
routine.
Yeah, a skincare. And things that, and not just women should invest in good skincare. Like, men have a skin too. There's a whole campaign about like men have a skin too from a very very well-known like soap and like and it's like
but you know what's funny, it like there's a whole way of thinking that it's like, oh, there's some men that like look much sexier with like wrinkles and gray hair. That does not apply to women.
But not just that. If you think
I have never
health,
heard of anyone saying, well, that lady looks so much more sexy with wrinkles and gray hair.
But men don't look sexier with wrinkles either. The thing is, like, first of all, I think of health. Like, just think of the sun damage. Like, wrinkles come to you by sun damage. Like, then there's the health implications of having sun damage. Whether you have darker skin or lighter skin, like, I'm like, sunblock, people. And if you lose your hair, sunblock at the top too. Like, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, cremita para los ojitos. And that, like, for me, when I think of like a young body, I always remember a friend who was like an exercise trainer saying a young body has these two characteristics. It's strong and it's flexible. As you age or you grow old, if you are too strong and you don't have flexibility, you're muscle bound, you're gonna have injury. And if you're too flexible and you don't have a strength, you're gonna have injury. So people who age well with a healthy body that allows them to have a life that does the activities that they want to do, no matter which decade they are people who take care of their bodies to be strong and flexible, and to nourish it and to eat well. And then if you eat well, you have better skin than when you don't eat well, right? You drink too much, you smoke, too much caffeine, too much things begin to accumulate, and then you don't look your best, right? You can be bloated, you can be retaining water, there's many things if we talk about beauty. But like, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like sometimes in our desire to not age, we do some terrible things to ourselves. Like, we go a little extra.
Yeah, but there's also, I think, I understand that part about health, but you could eat healthy and you could get some moderate exercise, but menopause in women, it makes them gain weight. It doesn't matter if you eat healthy and you blah 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 blah. The body is trying to gather the estrogen that is losing, and it concentrates it in the fat cells. So it makes it really, really hard for you to lose that weight or to not gain it. Yeah. So, you could be a healthy person and still be, have some like fat around you that you're like, well, that wasn't there when I was in my 20s, or it wasn't when I was in my early 30s. And, it makes people go into, lipo or other things, which, what? Girl, do whatever you need to do to make yourself look good. Now, there are, instances that just people go completely overboard, and now they look, they don't even look human. Or like, I know some friends that have gotten like their lips done, and then they're like, I hate it. I don't look myself, or whatever. And that's just. It is what it is. Like, plastic surgery, right now does not make you look. It doesn't do like what the movies do, like, that they grab like the face and they put another face and then they look really young now. Yeah. Doesn't do that yet. Yeah. So this is something that people need to weigh. But hey, if it makes you feel better, more comfortable in your skin, that's great. Now, do we need to learn to live with that new body that is different from when you were 20? I mean, it is what it is. Everybody's gonna get there, like the really skinny 20-something-year-old girls eventually will get there too. And so this is something, and also, men go through the same thing. Yeah. And they don't even go through menopause, which we will talk about in another episode. But but so it's kind of like, hey, let's everybody understand that this happens as a normal thing. It's a normal anatomical consequence of getting older, and let's just be okay with it. Let's just be okay. This is the new stage in my body.
That's the point about being able to be at peace with your. If you remember, I don't know, remember that movie Men in Black? I don't know, it's older. Like, you know how the very first one, and many of you probably, some of you may have not seen it, but like the body has a little tiny alien. It's almost like it's a machine that the body is being like maneuvered. And I always feel like our bodies, like that is excellent. That's our mind and our person inside, and this is like our like our vehicle, right? Like this is how we move through the world. This is how we experience everything that is.
It's a little alien, your soul.
Yeah. Or your mind, like, you know, you're you inside, your essence, and then you have your body, which is your physical manifestation. And what does it mean to love that vehicle, to take care of that vehicle, so that you can experience a life that brings you joy and brings you affection and brings you the ability to eat and enjoy your food, like all those things that we experience because we have a body, right? Like, and that is what I think sometimes I was like, we focus so much on the appearance of the body, I think. And what you were saying is like, why can't we just learn to be like, it's okay if my body will have different versions, like my 20-year-old body does not resemble my 30-year-old body, does not resemble my 40-something-year-old body. And if that's
ain't that the truth?
But also, I think that I know a lot of people in their 40s or 50s or 60s who have always exercised, who have always had very healthy routines, that their bodies look similar, or like they have changed, but they maintain kind of like a rhythm to themselves. And I also know for Latinos, for example, that once we migrate and we come into the United States, you can have obesity and diabetes and many other things that make you hold stress and make you age in very like
stress is bad.
In ways. Stress produces that's the other thing, cortisol, and then that also makes you eat more and don't rest, like accumulate fat and stuff like that. So I also think that, you know, to like thinking once again of systems of oppression, like ableism, this idea of like bodies that are larger being like unhealthy, is something we have to be mindful of. Some people are just taller and bigger, and they are still strong and flexible and youthful, or like are aging in different, you know, like different sizes is beautiful, like different proportions is beautiful, like so just,
well, I mean, this is like an eternal thing, you know, with women and like competition, you know, among themselves for men, and you know, this forces women to do some pretty severe things to their bodies, you know, between like eating disorders to extreme plastic surgery. I mean, guys, I know I'm gonna say something that might not be popular in the Latino population, but girls, that big old butt that you are implanting into your butt cheeks, it looks fake. It looks really, really fake. Like, hey, if you have a flat butt and you want to make it look like nice and round and, you know, natural looking, hey girl, let's do it. But to the point that it's just, it looks like twice the size of your head. It's, I don't even know how that's comfortable. And so, you know, and it's like, are you doing that for yourself so you can feel better with your body, or are you feeling that because there's society's pressure? The other girls are doing it and guys like it. You know, guys like big butts. And it's like, why are we doing this? Are we doing this for ourselves, or are we doing this for somebody else? And so this is another thing, you know, getting as we get older, you know, are we doing the Botox or the lipo or whatever for ourselves, or are we doing it because society, it doesn't allow you to look different, as you get older, which totally, I think that's totally it.
I think for me, I understand the aesthetic. There is aesthetics, right? For a long time, I remember when I started traveling to Latin America, and this is something, there was people, I always felt like sometimes, depending on class, and if you found, I always felt like people who had, if you were beautiful but you didn't have a lot of means, sometimes living off of your appearances could be a way in which we know that women who are more considered more beautiful or youthful, or people in general who are considered more attractive, find jobs easier and offer more jobs. Like, we have a lot of biases as humans, right? Like, and beautiful people, that has like a value in this society, precisely because it's in this, rooted in these systems. The same thing that having lighter skin allows you to earn a higher salary or have access to jobs. So like, we know why people alter their appearances in many ways out of like necessities. So for me, it's just like, you prefer, do I think that your body is out of proportion? But I think for me, the most important part is like that question you ask is, what are the real motivations? Because there are people who alter their body, like add piercings, scarring, and many other things for many other reasons, right? Like, and it's considered like tattooing, and these are markings and ways of beautifying and adorning your body. So I think we have all these different lines in which, depending on your age and your culture, you might choose to decorate it, right? I think as long as you are in alignment to what is you and reflects you, instead of what you're saying, like, what are we doing it for? Is it because you need to attract, you want to keep a partner by your side, you want to compete for the attention, male attention or female attention? Is it because you feel like if you don't have certain attributes or certain things, you will not be able to achieve what you want to achieve economically? And I think that those are some of the questions when you were like, what are the pressures that we as women experience in society? We know that social media distorts how young women think they have to look. That's
now it's social media. It used to be magazines, TV.
Yes, magazines.
It used
So
to
like
be
media
like
has done it for a
supermodels,
long,
whatever. It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, but I think social media has specifically targeted like the younger women, and in ways I think that, and the reach is so much bigger than what we had when we had like magazines or like, I don't know, music awards in which you were like admiring someone's style on TV. But it's that like media gives you almost a map of what you're supposed to look like in every stage of your life. And when you were saying, what does it mean to look young at 40s? What does it mean to look young at 50s or 60s? Like, is young an age or an attitude?
Well, I definitely think it's a combination of both. But what I think is that it's not defined. It's whatever we want it to be. So if I want to be a 45-year-old lady dressing in my pantsuit, then go for it. And if I want to be a 45-year-old lady or girl, whatever you want to be called, wearing tight leggings and, I don't know, leather halter top, then do that too. So, I just feel like, and here's the other thing, if we really want society to stop putting pressure on us, we need to stop putting pressure on each other. Because this is how we're going to make it disappear. And also, we need to really just battle that, just, call it out and say, I was kind of scared of saying, hey, are you not taking me seriously because you think I'm young? So it's okay to call it out, to say, could you really tell me the reason why I didn't get hired? What is it that what is it that I don't have that other girls have, for a partner or another, I don't know. There's like things that we, because, I always like to think of the things that we can do to make things better for us. And, as usual, it starts with us. It's like, if we are telling our friends that they need Botox, hey, you do you, okay? If you want Botox, great. But please don't tell me I need Botox. This is my own decision, and like this is putting pressure on other people, on your own taste, on your own style, or on your own traumas, or on your own fears. There's a lot of imposing on other people about your own mishappenings in your life that make you think a certain way, or the way that you grew up or whatever. This is such an individual thing that I think it should just be like, hey, do you want to keep your gray hair? Great. Do you want to dye your gray hairs? Great. Do you want to shave your head so you don't have any gray hairs? Great. I don't know. It's just like,
I think that, I think one of the hardest lessons to learn in life is like, what other people think of you is none of your business. Right? It's none of your business. They get to think about you whatever they want to, and most of the time it's a reflection more about where they are than about where you are, right?
They're projecting things to you.
I also think that women in different cultures have other abilities to I think a woman who is more self-sufficient, who has its own, who is grounded, who is better at grounding herself, who earns his own money, who has his own things, it's easier probably to be like, it's okay if I lose a partner because I'm aging. It's okay if I know my children would leave the house and I'll be alone. And like, you become a little more I think like that part about becoming comfortable in your own skin is the key about like aging healthily, becoming, growing younger.
But you're right, that comes from empowerment.
It comes from like the ability, because if you feel like you depend on your partner and you feel like that relationship depends on your youth, whether it's true
the currency,
or not,
the currency that you're using is your beauty or your looks.
Then you are thinking, I'll the next surgery, the next modification, the next thing. How do I keep myself looking like I did 20 years instead of saying, and I think that men to a degree are going to that probably now more than before, but it has to do a lot with economic power. Sometimes I think sometimes it has to do with like our own that not being ourselves grounded or comfortable in our own skin, and I could see how someone who feels like it's not comfortable with themselves is always trying to alter that physical appearance to seek that comfort, and that's something that is not in the physical, right? Is internal work and is other things. And I've also known a lot of older women who I think are stunning and who have wrinkles, who have gray hair, who don't have a super tone body, but like their attitudes and the way in which they are comfortable within their own skin makes them.
But that's the beauty. That's another thing about getting older, right? You start caring less and less and less I mean, that's at least my experience. Like, to me, like, I care much less about many, many things.
But I think because you're comfortable with yourself in many, many things, so those things have lost their value. I also think the idea of, like, if you are in partnership and romantic partnerships, the idea that older people don't deserve to fall in love and find other older people attractive, like that is not attractive. There is even like the new bachelor is the first golden bachelor. It's a man in his 70s, I think. So, like, you know, even that idea of like, what does it mean to date, to be intimate, to be naked with someone else at that age? Or like, do people who are older have sexual lives, intimacy? Like, I think it's a lot of like that, those insecurities about how would you have a sexual partner, how would you be in relationship, romantic relationship, if now you're old. Like, that's for young people, and that's not true.
Yeah. A friend of mine said the other day, youth is overrated.
I think it's a little overrated. I mean, in the sense,
hey, I'm not knocking young people, but you know what? It's not the beyond end all, and it's not the most amazing time of your life. To be honest, I mean, to me, the way that I look at things, every single day I'm living is the best time of my life. Is really because I get to make it happen. I can't redo my past. I can definitely redo I can definitely do my today. I can influence my today. And so that's the best time. And like, there's so many things that I know now that I didn't know when I was younger.
Yes.
That I'm just like, oh, so much better having all this body of knowledge in my mind. And also, so there's just, it's, I really invite everyone to, you know, reflect on the awesome things that you have now versus what you had when you were younger, rather than focus on the things that you don't have. And I think that's gonna make things better. And also, don't get anybody influence you on what you look like, on
also
what you need to do to your body or to your face. This is all you, and it should be done for you and not for anybody else.
And also remember, like, you know, when I remember we used to have these games when we were little, and you would be like, I am going to be a 17-year-old girl. And then we'd be like, I'm a 15-year-old girl. And like, that's what it meant to be a little older. And like, we're in such a hurry to be adults. I do think that the beauty of youth is that it's temporary, it's ephemeral, and it's very short period of our lives. We spend a lot of time adulting from our 20s forward.
I mean, most of our lives is adulting.
So I always tell to young people, like, don't be in a hurry, enjoy it. And also, like, you know, this is the youngest, you know, it's a little cliche, but this is the youngest you're ever going to be, and the oldest, you know, like, I could be older, but this is the youngest I'm ever going to be again. And tomorrow is going to be the youngest I'm ever going to be again. So I think it's important to just, for me, as I say, it's just growing up much more important that you know, growing old. Yes.
I mean, I like having a little bit of like immaturity in me, in which, like, you know, I like to do silly things, like the worm in the middle of this podcast, or I like, you know, I don't take myself so seriously. You know, I laugh at myself, and I mean, we went to Coney Island for my birthday, and we went on the rides, and it was just super fun. And so it's like, you know, there's a little bit of that, like that youth that you want to keep to, like, make things fun and interesting and new, you know, that this curiosity that you can keep on yourself, of like, you know, everything is exciting, you know, when you make it so, you know, it's like, oh, let me explore something new, or if it's not new, let me explore something new about this thing that I've done before. Or I feel like that is like something that we do lose, like, as we grow older, we get more serious, and we get more like jaded, and so it's like just keeping that
sort of like childlike lightheartedness.
Yeah, I call it curiosity about life. It's just like you're curious about, what's gonna happen today and tomorrow, and what I can do, and just not take yourself so seriously, and care about things a little bit less, like, especially like physical things.
Yes.
I think that's what I've learned about getting older, and that's the one thing that I like about that I like to keep from my youth.
Yeah.
I actually, to be honest, I take myself a lot less seriously now than when I was younger. I was like so nervous about the way I looked and how I carried myself and what people thought about me, and now I'm like
but that comes comfort, and that comfort looks excellent. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that another thing I think is great for people and look really pretty, people who smile a lot tend to be, I think they're really attractive. People who have a great smile, I find them really beautiful, and it's something that they don't have to be particularly pretty, but that ability to have that, like, the lightness about themselves, and that's what being young kind of is, right? Like you are not as dense, and that's more like, it can be physical, but it can, as I said, there's young people who are not like that, and who do not act like that, and who they're not just also in the sense like they're not wise, is they're vejentados, they're like boring and uncurious, and even if they're young in age.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the beauty is on the lightheartedness.
Well, if you keep your soul young, you never grow old.
You see?
Where's Enya? And with that, let us know what you think about all this like crap that we just unloaded on you.
No, that was not crap.
No, I know it's not crap. It's all this musings that we have unloaded.
Yes.
Get in touch with us at Chancleta Generation on the IG and the TW. Well, the X now.
X. Yeah.
On the X is Chancleta Gen. We're also on TikTok, Chancleta Generation. Check us out. We're gonna be doing a lot more musings over there. And leave us a review, yes. And also, hey guys, we'd love to know what you want us to talk about. Drop us a note. Send me an email. Send us a DM. Let us know what you'd like to talk about. Give us a topic.
Excellent.
And we'll actually give you a shout out.
It's so nice to see you, Clem. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. Have a beautiful day.
You too. See you guys next week.